Denis Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve.
Beautiful.
Denis Villeneuve.
Jason Momoa was just a fucking surfer bro, just crashing the sci-fi party.
Yeah.
Come on, dude, we're doing the sci-fi thing.
But Timothée Chalamet was just a NYU theater kid crashing the sci-fi. Like, just pull him off the street and put him in the movie. It's like
yes.
And then the guy who plays
So the beard, head of the house.
Yeah.
Does the two thing. He's in being John Malkovich.
No, I always get these movies mixed up. Cut all of this out. For some reason, I mix up these titles. Llewyn Davis is the movie about the folk musician, and he's just this.
Okay.
Fuck up folk musician.
I never saw it.
Yeah, I always experience him as super cash, he's bearded, he's like a modern guy. He's in a cafe somewhere. He's
I've just seen
probably
him
getting
in
high.
So many films now.
Yeah, and I guess that's true with almost the entire cast.
The whole fucking cast,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, that was Hollywood and the Good Old Boys. Today we're doing Dune, everybody.
And I wonder if there might be a positive version of such a thing.
Well, when you get great performances, because these are all great actors,
right? Then it's worth it.
But Josh Brolin didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
What's that?
He was the I'm training you in the beginning of the film.
Mm-hmm. Old man, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't feel like the acting was very good. I think Timothée Chalamet with his hand in the box, I thought that was a terrific performance. Mm-hmm. I was really moved.
Yeah.
I was feeling that. And then the female tribal vocals kick in at the crucial moment and just dash the whole spell.
Yeah. I agree. Okay. Wow. You're really with your burqa situation, you're really pulling that off. So, yeah, I think the thing about that is, most of it, I felt this is Timothée Chalamet, I'm experiencing, just him trying to make this character his own, rather than he's now performing something totally other. And so he'd say, you good? Let's get out of here. Something like that. Yes. And I would feel oh, this is a guy that I know. This is
I understand what these guys are doing.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
And it I feel even if it was someone that I knew that was in such a situation, they would not behave that way. There would be more gravity. And that was disappointing to me. I think something that I loved about this film was when I experience fantasy and sci-fi, I love the the exploration of a strange other world, and I really got to just indulge in that in this. You just get to explore something I don't like about Star Wars is you'll get a taste of the other world, but you don't actually get to spread out and feel it. I always want to just stay in that weird jungle world and know about it. Mm-hmm. And so I loved that about this. Where was I going with that?
Well, you're starting with the language breaks,
yeah,
where it would break from gravitas,
yeah,
to toss in some of that good old Green Knight millennial jargon.
Yeah. And so so in some ways I was more drawn into this than any other, like visually they pulled it off, but then you'd get thrown out of it by and then there's Timothée Chalamet that's interrupting the whole thing, which should be the opposite of what he's doing because he's the core of the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It's gonna take me a few minutes to assemble all the fractured pieces in my mind.
Well,
that was the wrong kind of maximalism. Every single moment you were supposed to feel was the most important moment you've ever witnessed in your entire life. There, every single moment had these huge bass drops and the woman just going,
right. Yeah, I couldn't tell when we had reached okay, so the moment when they are going to be on the new planet, what's it called? Their family moves to
Arrakis.
They should have held back a little more there. They're still building up to something there, and it was it felt okay, this is the moment when everything's gonna explode. And
yes, every single moment was the moment everything is exploding. Every single fucking moment.
And yet, okay, I will say, compared to a Marvel movie and compared to the way I experienced Star Wars or something, well, I'm thinking of more recent Star Wars movies, but I felt the exploding action was more controlled. I was able to actually stay present with it rather than just being this is so overwhelming, I'm gonna kind of zone out through all of these fighter jet scenes,
Sure. It was dialed down, but it was not under control.
Okay.
I was not experiencing a harmony.
Yeah.
At any point. There was always something breaking the groove. When all the ships were launching off Caladan to make the trip to Arrakis, the music did get really fucking good, and Timothée Chalamet, I can't even get myself to call him Paul Atreides.
I know,
because he's so Timothée Chalamet. He's on these cliffs overlooking the ocean and watching all the ships take off, and it's this huge fucking moment. But they then cut it with just normal housekeeping. The Lady Jessica's directing movers to pack up boxes. You're literally with that same huge fucking epic music of the ships taking off. You're also seeing boxes and luggage getting boxed up.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
And that does not fucking go in this moment. I'm trying to have a moment here. And that was indicative, or that was representative of a lot of moments here that were close, but there was
I spit out the espresso at this film. I spit it out.
Yes, I do. I mean, this is going to be the whole video, so let's
start from the beginning.
Well, let's try for some perspective. The ships were the real stars of the film. The ships were fucking beautiful. The monolithic, huge fucking...
Yeah, but that's true of every... collectively, Hollywood has those ships down. Yes, I'm always impressed, but also, sure, of course, every time.
They worked, though.
Yeah, they worked, but they always work. That's...
I disagree. They do not always work. Like Marvel movies, you see big spaceships a lot, but it's like not lit well. It's not composed well.
Okay.
Like the big whole ship.
Yeah, I love that.
That was beautiful, and he knew to keep the visuals less busy, so the whole ship could be framed nicely. But it was always like on the way out of buckets of exposition straight into buckets of more exposition. Like, the good thing was the space and the ships and like big fucking processions, like awe-inspiring images.
Yeah.
That there were a lot of beautiful, awe-inspiring images, things you and I have never seen before.
That's true.
Things the world has never even seen before.
Yeah, that's true.
Were achieved in this film.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like the attack on the home city and the like cascading missiles coming down from the attacking ship to explode on the city.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
That was amazing. I think the city itself was amazing.
The city,
getting to enter and explore what that city looked like, and the palm trees being watered, that was beautiful.
Okay. Cool.
I liked it. The just the movement of the doors as they were like, okay, now the sun is, we have to close them. And even the very, very beginning when Zendaya is doing the opening monologue and she's talking about the spice in the air, like, that was beautiful. Just here's the landscape that we're going to be talking about. Like, here's what's going on. The glittering dust in the air.
The glittering dust in the air was great. And that was a new, original, completely effective way to express the spice. Yeah. Because, well, I'm about to say that it's an open question. How do you visually represent this psychedelic, life-giving, world-centering substance that is the spice? And to have it be this, like, phosphorescent dust in the air was very beautiful. Yeah. So much exposition. Yeah, I mean... is relentless amounts of exposition. I felt like I was watching a fucking stupid fucking Marvel movie where they couldn't just show us anything. They had to tell us everything.
And, okay, so... Yes, but then I'm thinking, when I was watching it, like... Introducing the dad, introducing Timothy's waking up, and now he's going to sit with his mom, and okay, she's magical because she's making him use the voice, and like these moments of setting up, like, who are these characters? What's their relationship to each other? Okay. I feel like they could have taken more time with that, maybe. I'm not quite sure. I experienced it as kind of like... kind of abrupt, and now I have to believe it, and
they acted like they earned things. Like, now you understand Jessica's relationship with her son. Yeah. Now you understand Paul's relationship with his dad. Yeah. Now you understand the husband's relationship with his, not wife, but concubine.
And I didn't even know that until the middle of the film, when he said I should have married you. Yeah.
And they didn't earn any of those things. I checked that off the box. I told you.
Yes, it felt exactly like that, like checking it off the box. And as a viewer, it was like, okay, like, I understand this, but I didn't feel like...
You didn't experience it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you intellectually understood what these relationships are supposed to be, but the experience was not created. Okay.
But something I do want to say, for me, yeah, the exploring the world and the landscape, like, I love it. I thought that was amazing. I'm like excited for the next one.
Yes.
And also, I just thought the fashion was fabulous. The costuming, A+. Yes. I love it. Yes. I want to see more of it. Every scene, I was just like, yes, do it. Like, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I loved the Royal Emperor's Embassy group was all these like pointlessly faceless, masked like centurions with
bubble
like
things.
Golden bubble head.
Yeah, that was cool and interesting.
They were fucking cool looking. The Bene Gesserit.
And then the scenes where they're leaving, like coming out of their spaceship thing, and there's like the music around them and the way that their capes move and how they move through the shadows. Mm-hmm. That was beautiful. I loved that.
Yes, that was beautiful.
It tells you something about them that I didn't like. It was super necessary because I think if I didn't hear all of your rants about the Bene Gesserits, I would not know what they were and what role they, like, I wouldn't know how to think about them at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just these moments were not phrased with any rhyme or reason. It was just this...
throwing together a lot of...
Yes, it was just this ego-obliterating juggernaut of, like, moment with no orchestration to it. Like, take out, like, half of those moments and pick your battles and, like, lead us out of them and lead us into them.
Yeah.
And, like, decide what your core battle is and focus the gravitas on that moment. Yeah. And so that we, like, go there with you.
Yeah, that's so true. I think the attack on the city once the Atreides are there, it, like, feels kind of endless. Like, it feels like, okay, they're being attacked on this front and this front and this front, and it's pretty well done. Like, visually, I was down and not, I mean, I was overwhelmed, but not in, like, a bored way. But yeah, it was hard to keep track of which parts of it were important. Like, okay, do I need to completely forget about the dad because he's straight up dead, or, like, do I need to keep thinking about him? Like, these different, like where are we at in the battle now? I can't tell because it keeps going and there's no moment of, like, okay, this has been wrapped up and we get, this is, like, over.
Okay, I have a core shtick here.
Okay.
I can just dive into my core
shtick.
Which is about adapting novels and about adaptations in general. Where, how do you adapt a novel? You can't.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
This is my thesis. You can't adapt a novel, so don't fucking try. Just make your own fucking addition to the universe.
Yeah.
Like, pick one of these stories of these, like, 10 zillion different stories happening in the first book of Dune. Pick one and make that the Rosetta Stone of everything that goes unsaid in your film.
That's cool. That's a cool idea. What I was just saying to you in the car on the way back from the theater was that, like, while I was watching it, I kept feeling like if I could get behind all the, like, Timothée Chalamet-ness and the acting, which felt
terrible.
Yeah, like, I couldn't feel the characters, but once I could get past that, I was like, this is an incredible story. Like, in spite of the performance, I felt, like, so invested in the narrative. Like, it's obviously an incredible book, and now I'm convinced, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll read it, okay.
It's one of the greatest stories of all time. It's fucking amazing. It's everything. Dune is everything.
Okay, go.
Dune is everything. The story is amazing. The acting was fucking terrible. Even the actors were just checking off all these boxes.
Yeah.
Like, I have to communicate this to you, and this to you, and this to you. And from the first fucking moment of the running time, Zendaya is in your ear like, this is everything you need to know about the spice and about what the Fremen do here and how there's colonizers taking the spice and then the colonizers are changing. And okay, here you go. Now we can experience the movie. Except not. The exposition just keeps going.
It does. Oh, that's true. That's interesting.
And please.
So the fact of like the dreams and the way that, because I was kind of getting it as like her exposition is his dream experience, and that's like I mean there's different ways to communicate that, and you can get creative about it, and that was the way they chose to do it. But like, is that not constantly happening in the books, that he's constantly getting this information from other sources, and you're getting that kind of
it's a book.
Yeah.
You tell a story with words in a book.
Right. Oh.
Yes. In a movie, you show the story.
Yeah.
And you have to tell a different fucking story. If it's going to be a good movie, it can't be with words. Words just get in the way. You have to show these things.
So, I don't know about that. I think that... Okay, I just was telling you, I just watched Wings of Desire, the original German one, not this one.
Not the Nicolas Cage.
No. Jesus. I loved it, and I thought that it was a beautiful example of the way that film can bring together different mediums to make something beyond all those mediums. So, like, on one level, Wings of Desire is just like many lines of poetry, just saying like, the taste of a cup of coffee shared with a loved one, something like that. But with the images that it's laid over and all the context that it's given, and the music that's playing, like, it heightens the sense of poetry, or that line, or a line of poetry can heighten like this visual moment of like a woman doing trapeze. It's like every part of it is enhanced, and I think that if I think about like what is the role of literature in our world, like, yeah, poetry, maybe expand what poetry can be. Poetry could be expressed in film in that kind of way, where like the lines of the film are poetic, and it's like deeply embedded in the experience of the film, so that the words are completely important. But yeah, it's a difference between like relying on exposition versus sort of using it to just take you deeper into the experience of it.
Yes, yeah, the words should deepen the spell, and exposition should...
You're just trying to keep up with all the exposition at a certain point.
Yes, like, we get the story, we fucking get it.
Well,
shut the fuck up and let me look at these images, please.
But I think, like, you get the story, and I don't know if I would have totally gotten...
You understand when Jason Momoa locked the door, that the door was locked. You didn't need Liet Kynes to run up to the door and look at Paul banging, trying to open the door, and then Liet Kynes basically turned to the camera and say, he locked the door.
There was a ton of that. There was the dad being like, so it's done now? After he said the seal, I was just like, well, that made me think about how I view that actor. And that actor, in my experience, often plays these, like, kind of, like, non-committal, like, modern man characters. Mm-hmm. And that, like, of course, that's the force he brings to the film, is, like, the most, like, leader of the House of Atreides.
Yeah, like, he delivers this huge speech because it's all for ritual. Yeah. And then the ritual is done, and then he goes, is it done now? What?
Yeah.
You're the master of fucking crazy ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that theme happening throughout this movie of gravitas, and then something so jarring and unnecessary just derails all
every
the
time
fucking
Jason
moment.
Momoa shows up. It's like, oh, also this is here. Yeah, I'm not sure what his character is like in the books, but like
he's not even fucking there.
Yeah, he feels irrelevant, like, in the movie. I experienced it as, like, I feel like this is just taking away from how the character of Paul should be, like, engaging with the whole thing. Like, it decenters him a little bit. And it kind of just serves to highlight, like, how much he is, like, not a warrior. You know?
How much Paul is not a warrior?
Right.
By putting a real warrior next to him? Yeah. And he is through and through a warrior in the book.
Really?
Like, he does not... Paul fucking Atreides would never sit at breakfast and whine to his mom. Oh, don't train me now, Mom. I just got up. Oh, okay. He would not turn to his dad and go, what if I don't want to be the Duke?
Oh, really?
That is completely antithetical to Paul's character. Like, you saw Paul's character with his hand in the fucking box.
Yeah.
Going through pain.
This was confusing.
And actually acting.
Yeah.
And, like, you understood he was traversing, like, the biggest moment of his life. Mm-hmm. You saw that. You didn't need huge swelling music and a fucking tribal, like, lady singing with the music to tell you he just triumphed.
The moment when he says something to his mom, like you Benny Gesserit's made me a freak or something like that, like he's like so upset and like screams at her. Mm-hmm. That seemed like, I think that it's probably right that a hero kind of also pushes against, like, the destiny that is laid before them. Like, that seems archetypal. But the use of the word freak was like, what are we in right now? Like, is this an 80s high school movie? I don't...
What you have there is the balance of trying to adapt a novel. Because that's the word used in the novel. And that's the moment that word is used.
Yeah.
And he is experiencing an intense inner transformation and, like, seeing the ocean of time open up before him in the tent. Yeah. And he's not, like, outwardly upset about it. He just, like, looks at her with, like, open eyes, like, he like sees into her, and it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't unsee anything. You've turned me into some, like, Delphic oracle.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's not how it... Like, I get that, and that wasn't communicated in the film somehow.
It wasn't earned. And there's so many things to earn in this film. This is why I think you had to make your own film, like, not the book. You can't adapt the book. Give it up. Jodorowsky, Alejandro Jodorowsky, was the first guy to get the rights to Dune. There's a whole documentary that's famous to Dune fans now called Jodorowsky's Dune, about his journey to make his Dune. And he understood how to do it by making your own fucking movie. He read the book and he understood that this can't be made into a movie. I just have to, like, ingest this spirit and give voice to whatever the spirit of Dune inspires me to sing now. And he just knew, like, the book is always going to be the book. I just need to, like, add to that with a sovereign novel creation that, like, now can be set in orbit with the book, but not take away from it. And these direct fucking adaptations, Harry Potter style, just highlight, all they do is highlight all the things you failed to transmit.
Yeah, everything a film can't do.
Yeah, all it does is point out the shortcomings of film. Yeah. And that's not what film is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so my shtick is Ghost in the Shell, and how it's been attempted.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yes, there was an attempt to adapt Ghost in the Shell from a Japanese anime into a American live-action film. And they just did this direct fucking port, and it was just fucking terrible. All it did was highlight, like, how empty it was. But then one realizes, a Ghost in the Shell fan realizes that there was a live-action adaptation of Ghost in the Shell. It was called The Matrix. And takes
the spirit of it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It takes the spirit of it, and it takes the aesthetic, like, green code descending down a screen. That's sick. Girls with huge eyes and slicked hair and, like, skin-tight outfits doing kung fu. Got it. But then it's their own story. And, like, humans uploaded to the internet. Got it. Yeah. That's sick. But then it's their own story. They made a completely original story. And that's the only way to have adapted Ghost in the Shell. Is to tell your own story. So is that the alarm?
That's just for 3:30.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's funny because everything that I was enjoying about Dune, like the aesthetics of it, I was thinking, like, this is the stuff that I like about Mad Max, but, like, take it further. This is, like, what I liked about Mad Max Fury Road, but, like, taken further. Just the aesthetics of, like, the desert, and a relationship to the desert, and, like, I love, like, women in the desert in these, like, amazing costumes, and the wind is blowing, and there's this, scarves. Love it. And yeah, it makes me, like, oddly, I liked this movie better, but I'm seeing how Mad Max is, like, narratively, it's, like, more complete or something in a way. It's, like, its own thing.
Well, how many times have you watched Mad Max Fury Road?
Okay, twice.
Okay, twice is better than once. Mad Max is a much better film than Dune.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The Coriolis storm in Mad Max is when they go into the storm. That's like a...
I'm so glad that you like Mad Max too. I was like, we'll see how this...
Like, that's like Nobel Peace Prize, or, like, whatever is more than an Oscar.
Yeah. Nobel Peace Prize.
Like, that is the seminal desert film, and, like, the wonder of the desert, and the human moat experience of like confronting Mother Nature that's just gonna fucking like tear you in half. And Mad Max understood there was zero exposition in like every single thing that was said was exposition. But like every line was a musical peak.
Yeah, that's true.
The visuals drew you into a musical peak, and then the word is said.
Yeah, they didn't.
And it achieves the purpose, it achieves the function of exposition of like, oh, we're chasing that guy. But in rhythm, in musical rhythm, with what the images are doing and what the beat of the cuts are doing. That's
very true, yeah.
And this rhythm was completely absent from Dune. Like, everything was dialed up to 10.
Okay, but then it's making me think, like, well...
And the story was broken down to elements.
Yeah.
And that's what needed to happen with this. They needed to break it down to its base elements. Like, tell one fucking story, and you can just imply all the other stories that are happening. And if you're interested in those, you can read the book.
Yeah. That's making me think like just them traveling through the desert and dealing with the worm thing could kind of, like, that could have just been, like, the main center of it. And the Bene Gesserits, and even, like, the House of... Harkonnen. Like, those were fascinating images. I was loving it and wanted to see more, but it's so many moving parts.
Simple structures are maximally stable and can hold a maximum of freely moving parts if the basic foundation is as basic as possible. Like, okay, are we making the confrontation with the sandworm? Is that the soul of this film? Then that needs to be his dream. Like, every dream shaking him from inside is just like rumbles and the sand moving, and like you just feel the worm coming. You don't get
That's cool.
You don't get endless exposition. You don't show, don't tell. Of course, there's the whole problem with it. With every time someone tries to make a Dune, or adapt any fucking film from a book, is they feel the need to tell everything, and they don't just like accept that it's a bad job from the start. You can't do it, so just pick your battles and show something. So like, so if the sandworm and confronting the sandworm is the core, is like the thing driving the future attractor, pulling Paul from his dreams to Dune, then that can now be the standard, and like you can see him like fighting against the rumbling of things and what that results in. And going with the flowing of change and what that does. And then a final surrender to the transformation that then peaks at him confronting the worm, which then is...
and then he rides it, and then it's amazing.
Which is the... which expresses the pull from one planet to another. It's not this, like... bureaucratic subterfuge, like mini moving like house espionage things. It's a spiritual pull of one character from one part of the universe to another. Just frame it only in those terms. That could have worked.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, trying to juggle the role of the emperor and then these houses. I think even Harkonnen is the most distinct visually, and so it seems the most powerful politically, and so it kind of, like, in my mind, and so it kind of makes it unclear like what the power structure is, like who's really moving things here.
Yeah, and in the book, there's a core good and evil thing happening there, where the Atreides are the archetypal, like, King Arthur and his court, and bringers of order, and standing for principles, and House Harkonnen is the archetypal, like, decadence, and devouring, and gluttony, and evil, and that's one of the core things in the first book, is... these two must meet and confront each other. But like, and could that have been the core thing of this film? I don't know. It certainly wasn't.
Right. I think like House Atreides, it's only like clear to me that they're meant to be kind of this image of like health and goodness. By contrast, it's not obvious like that, like they're good warriors, we're told, but like it's really clear that Harkonnen is like you see him eating and he like can't walk, and like it's all this like maintenance around like how grotesque their whole sphere is, even that like spider thing, oh my god. But there's no...
There's so many... Jesus, I fucking... So much beauty wasted. Like Gaius Helen Mohayim, the Bene Gesserit, going into the Harkonnen's dark throne room and like, just shut the fuck up. Just take the words out and let us experience a dark room with a fucked up spider creature.
Keep going.
Just let us experience that and how that makes us feel.
Yeah.
And then the woman coming up to it and the servant guy butts in, like, we have, like, almost like at the exact same moment of seeing that creature is exposition of, oh, don't worry about him, he's just a pet, he won't bite you. Like, why did you put words into this distinctly disturbing moment? And then why did you have to announce each other? Why couldn't you just have the woman walk in, see the spider, look at the spider for a moment as the audience, then back to the woman who looks back at the thrown air dies she's about to walk up to, and then she just has to take the long walk up to it. And then she doesn't have to say anything like, turn the silence sensor thing on. Like, just have that beam come down.
Because we experienced it, so we can tell what that thing is doing.
Yes.
Interesting.
And this is another Ghost in the Shell thing. Ghost in the Shell showed everything. They didn't tell the audience things.
Right.
It's just an experience to go through.
Yeah. Even like how the shield works and stuff, like those moments, they're like really pulling the audience along, like this is doing this thing. And
okay. So the shields. Here's a case in point: is the shields. There's a battle dynamic to how body shields work in Dune, where they deflect projectiles, so you have to fight with swords, and if you swing too fast, the shield blocks it.
Right.
So you have to come in fast, and then and slow.
Right.
So that it gets through the thing.
Which takes, like, more strength.
And to express that without words, because it's a book that you're reading, you have to do so much legwork. And, okay, is that looking, like, planning your film, like, okay, what should we express in this film? Okay, well, if we're going to express how body shields work, we need an entire scene, we need exposition, we need to display it visually with blue and red, and we have to show it working and we show it not working, and okay, good, we did that. Is that core to the theme of this film? Is the way body shields work saying something crucial about the human condition? No.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the soul of the film. So take the fucking shields out completely.
Well, I'm not sure. Like, maybe it could have been part of it without, like, maybe it's adding, like, a fun, interesting world-building element that's, like, that's cool.
There's just a few too many cool things in this film.
Wow.
Think about Dead Man.
Yeah.
Everything is united. Everything is of a piece. It somehow managed to include a lot of really cool things.
Yeah.
But because it's the structure was so simple.
Yeah.
And everything had to get harmonized with the westward push to the west coast.
Yeah.
The body shields are not saying something crucial about the soul of Paul Atreides assuming dukedom.
This is making me think about, like, how when a director goes to make a film about a book, like, they've chosen to do that because they're so in love with that book that they can't, like, let something like the body shields go. And that's maybe just, like, that inherent flaw. Like, because you're in love with this thing, you're gonna, like, not be able to focus on your art piece. You're gonna be too distracted by, like, what this other person did. You're constantly referring to, like, trying to keep, like, the sacred elements of this book that you can't possibly translate directly.
It's a fool's errand. You need to tell your own story. Jodorowsky understood this. He was like, yep, I get it. I have my own Dune story to tell. Wow. And Paul is actually Jesus. And I'm telling a Messiah story now.
Yeah, I mean, that seems clear in this one as well.
It seems clear that that's part of the narrative, but it's certainly not an experience we had of, like, yes, Timothée Chalamet is the fucking Messiah. No, we're just supposed to think that because they just, oh, you're the one. I'm the one? Yeah. Yes, you're the one.
The chosen one. The biggest moment is, like, watching him totally get, like, the biggest moment for me is watching him, like, totally get the desert, like, getting how to work the ship in the storm, getting, like, he's now guiding his mom through the desert, his interaction with the worm, like, those are really cool scenes. But those don't necessarily embody him, like, taking on his role as
it's not
a Messiah character.
These things aren't integrated.
Yeah, so the fact of the desert and then his role in it seem like different things, where, like, him learning to dance with the desert should, like, naturally mean that he's taking on this new role. Something like that.
And, like, that moment, like, yes, you were supposed to feel that was the seminal moment when he's flying the ornithopter through the Coriolis storm, and someone you've never met before butts into his head and gives him a speech about embracing things. And so you're just like, oh, I guess we're here now. At the moment, everything fits together.
Right.
But it's like the end of Metropolis, where it's like, oh, a bunch of chaos happened.
Use this character to like bring things together really fast and like, okay, I guess this is working.
Yeah, it's
like it would be better if, because in that moment his mom's also praying or just reciting some like fear is the mind killer thing. It would almost be better if like her recitations remind him of something she said to him before in his childhood that just like, I've always known. And then there's more of a, or something his father said. That would be very... Yeah.
I didn't experience that as inevitable. Like...
Yeah, the inevitability, yeah.
Like the only possible, it's supposed to feel like the only possible sum of these first 90 minutes is him making this choice in the helicopter in the middle of a desert storm. It didn't feel that way. It was just like, oh, now we're here. He needs something. So, like, he needs something to get him through this moment. So, like, we're just going to get more exposition, really.
That's reminding me of, like, when Okay, so they're touring the spice fields, and the spice collector thing is about to be attacked by a worm, and he's going to save the guys on the collector to get them in the ships, and then he starts like tripping out from the spice. And okay, so first of all, that moment is it's like, so, of course that's what happened. Like, the first time we're gonna go see something, like, we're immediately in, like, the most intense, like, confrontation of the wildest part of this place. And, like, give me a second to breathe, maybe? I don't know. But once he's there and he's like tripping out on the spice, like I wanted something bigger to happen from that, like visually, or it just keeps showing like visions of people that he's gonna meet, and I wanted it to be like, it wasn't communicated to me like what transformation happened in his soul, you know?
Yeah, and that is back to the same character arc, character development thing that like didn't really happen in the film. Of like he is dramatically, convincingly one person at the beginning, ideally, and dramatically, convincingly someone else at the end.
Yeah, he kind of stays the same person that is the middle, in between point. Like, he wasn't convincing to me as like the whiny, like, I want to go with the people to the planet first. And then by the time he's like fighting the other warrior and he's met the Zendaya character, all the celebrities, you know, on the planet. Yeah, it's like he doesn't seem like completely warrior then either.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Like, what are we making him a warrior out of a boy?
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
Is that the core of this film?
Right.
Like, again, pick your battles, because to make any of these things reach the finish line is going to be really fucking hard. Much less all of the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been if this is a thing of like learning to experience and flow with the mystery of life and like get mastery over life, then that could have been experienced, or that could have been illustrated from the start of the film to the end of the film. Like, he could have like really sucked at the beginning, getting trained by the old man.
Yeah.
Because he was like in conflict with his sandworm dreams of like feeling the rumbling of the sand, but like in conflict with it.
Yeah.
And then he like gets he gets a crucial piece in the helicopter, and then another crucial piece when he meets the sandworm.
Right.
And then by the time
that's cool.
He is facing off against the angry Fremen, he's like surrendered finally.
Yeah.
Or like said yes to the desert experience finally. And
that's cool.
And he experiences like the sand moving under his feet is the worm, is the inevitability of his destiny, is the movement of the adversary coming to kill him. And he, like the end of The Matrix, where Neo is just watching every punch come for him, and he's like in awe of his own ability to predict everything.
Yeah.
And you feel that awe because the whole movie was getting Keanu Reeves from not knowing Kung Fu to knowing Kung Fu.
Oh my god. Okay.
But in this movie, it's just one of a trillion things that happened, and there's no way to value or weight one moment over another.
Yeah, it almost feels like that fight with the other warrior, like the Fremen warrior, could have just as easily not happened. I want to ask about like Zendaya's character. Like she says this is only the beginning, and part of me is like, oh, amazing, and another part of me is like, yeah, they're gonna make more of these films and I will go watch them, cool. But like, do I care about her character? Like, who is she? They don't really. They introduce her, but also not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something is this a relic of the book? Like, what is that?
What is she? Who is she?
Does she matter? He falls in love with a Fremen girl. Like, that's what this is.
That's what that is.
And so she represents like a destiny that he's moving toward.
Yes. Was not integrated with the rest of the film. And there was...
I feel like that must be disappointing for her. I mean, maybe she's...
Well, she'll be in the next one.
Yeah.
And then like, she'll actually be in the plot in the next one, so that'll be different. But for this film, like, there's like so many recurring images that aren't integrated with any particular core of what we're doing or where we're going.
Yeah.
Like, we kept seeing the bull's head on the wall.
Yeah.
And like
that
a matador
like nothing.
little toy figure. And that wasn't integrated with like anything in particular.
Yeah.
You just have to...
Oh, he has a background.
Yeah, you just had to have like read the book to understand.
Yeah.
And it's not even an important part of Paul's journey, anything about a bull's head.
So I think what I'm thinking about the Zendaya character is like, it could be that his meeting her feels so like powerful and like, oh, this is destiny. And like, if that was the arc they wanted to stick with, like, meeting her should feel the way that actually confronting the desert worm felt.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't. It feels like, who's this girl? Like, who's this random girl? And he, like, is gonna say something to her but doesn't. And there's a lot of, like, yeah, she doesn't even, she looks nice on the screen, but, like, she doesn't do anything at all. So it's hard to even care about her.
She doesn't even, like, she could have triggered a transformation in Timothée Chalamet when they finally meet, and they don't.
Yeah.
She's just there, and like according to the film, we're supposed to like experience her as like the culmination of everything. We've been seeing her the entire film. But everything is apparently supposed to feel like the culmination of everything.
Yeah, like, because it's the knife, and it's the guy that he fights, and it's like Jason Momoa in the caves, and it's like, like everything is. But is that like a Bene Gesserit thing where it's like you experience like all time is happening at once? So like
that's a nice thought of yours.
But it's not in the film, so it's not.
Like, I think, this is another design by subtraction thing. Like, pick some moments that work and erase most of the other ones. Like, the Baron Harkonnen rising up off his table, like, he's just gonna go move to the other side of the table, but you experience this fucking, like, Satan himself?
Yeah.
But, like, the moment is ruined through some imperceptible, like, we don't get to stay with any of these moments.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, that's just a by the way thing.
Well, and then it's just like, oh, well, that's like how he moves, and he hasn't done anything particularly, like, there's no, I can't think of, like, what's his biggest action in this? Like, it's when he's eating gross.
Yeah.
Or, like, when he comes out of the black stuff. It's, like, a good image of him.
Man. Well,
yeah.
There could have been less music, and then the music would have been more powerful. There could have been less talking, and then the actual talking would have been more powerful. There could have been less characters, and then the characters would have been more powerful. There could have just been a smaller amount of events in the film, and then the events would have been powerful. But yes, it was just this, like, boy in a candy shop. Like, I love this book. I want to do everything.
Well, it did make me, like, really interested in reading the book, and I do want to see... Do I want to see the next one? I probably want to see the next one. I'm going to read the books now, so that's good. Or we'll see. We'll start.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, and I know we're done now, but, like, how, like, we could have had a core thing of the desert's pulling him, and integrating with the desert is him integrating with life. And he's opposed to life, but then he has...
like his destiny and...
But he has to, like, say yes to life, even though that's saying yes to a brutal destiny. Mm-hmm. And, like, surrendering more of his conscious ego control to go with the flow. Mm-hmm. And that could have, like, been accompanied with an acting performance, too, where he's, like, ends the movie as, like, assuming the mantle and more grounded, and starts as more ungrounded and, like, jittery or something.
Right.
And,
yeah, the acting could have happened in this movie.
but see, the acting did happen with Timothy, with the pain box thing. And that is a thing good movies do, where they show you the entire course of the film in the prologue, but, like, in fast subliminal messaging.
Oh, okay. So,
like, you could have gotten his hero's journey in the pain box, and he, like, some crucial piece of wisdom comes to him to get him through the pain box.
Yeah.
And then you see his whole journey in, like, the first scene.
Yeah.
Just in rapid thing.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie is just unpacking.
That's cool.
Who the fuck is he that he was able to do that trial?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Wow. It could have been so good.
Yeah, well, the book is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay.